Welcome back to the Monday Morning Point Guard podcast. On this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit of NBA New Year's resolutions to kind of start the new year off. If you do like the video, please give us a like and consider subscribing for weekly content. Just going to kick it off here. This is going to have mostly a Lakers theme, I feel like. Wanted to propose a New Year's resolution for Anthony Davis. I know he's actually hurt right now, but the amount of times I feel like once a game he just crumbles to the ground like he's been shot. I think those fake injuries, maybe once every 2 weeks, is a realistic goal for him. Any comments on that?
Yeah, it does seem like pretty much every game he's going down with something or another. Yeah, now it does seem to be pretty legitimate, and that's kept him out for, a decent amount of time, and it is hurting them. But yeah, the fake injuries and just the injuries in general kind of are what's bringing him down and definitely hurting his stage with the Lakers, because I know he was supposed to be like the top guy with LeBron and Russ coming in.
Yeah, I think it's 4 weeks with this current injury. Maybe probably a little bit longer with him. So yeah, I don't have a problem with him actually getting hurt, even though he does seem to actually get hurt a lot. It's just like the amount of time, like he looks like he's playing in the World Cup, like for soccer. Like he'll get like bumped into and he just crumbles down into the fetal position. And I got to be honest, I'm tired of I'm tired of seeing it every game. And you can tell like LeBron, who just doesn't react at all when that happens. He just kind of does his own thing and just like lets Anthony Davis wallow around on the ground for a while.
Yeah, I think he's so over this team at this point.
It would be tough. It'd be tough to look around and see what they've become. Yeah, I don't think he's demanding a trade or anything, but yeah, I can't imagine he's re-signing with the Lakers. And this has been kind of what he's done throughout his career, at least since he left Cleveland the first time. So like he waits for the team to get built around him with vets, and then once they get old, like he abandons ship and they're left with nothing. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess we could transition to LeBron. Maybe stick to basketball a little bit more. I think this dual GM, captain of the team role is just not really working out. Yeah, I think he needs to leave the GMing to the front office and just stick with the basketball. I feel like the Russell Westbrook decision to bring him in was entirely on LeBron.
Yeah, it seems like a player of his status, like they should have some sort of pull in the front office, but he hasn't done a great job, especially in Cleveland. The teams that he would put together, and the Lakers have never really been that good in terms of who they have. So yeah, I would stick to more of the on-court activity.
With the exception to the Heat, because Pat Riley never really relinquished control to him.
Yeah, I didn't even know if he was part of the Heat construction at all.
They would like consult him on some decisions. Like they brought in like Shabazz Napier instead of PJ Hairston for like one draft, which I mean, honestly, who cares about either of them? I guess Shabazz had like a marginally better career than PJ Hairston, but yeah, stuff like that. I think they would kind of give him a little bit of say. Ironically, that year he ended up leaving the team and going back to Cleveland, so he never even played with Shabazz. But I think for the most part, he was pretty bent out of shape about Pat Riley just telling him no, because he wanted Spoelstra out early on, LeBron, and Pat Riley was like no. But if you've like between the Cleveland teams, both renditions and this Lakers team, it's always a bunch of names. It's always a bunch of old has-been names instead of like guys who actually fit. Like when you're just looking at it on paper, it looks really impressive until you like realize Carmelo Anthony's in his 19th season and Dwight Howard's in his 18th season and DeAndre Jordan has been done for 4 years. And it's a lot of who's who of like former good players to great players, but not at this stage.
The most surprising one was when he had D Rose and Wade come to Cleveland, because at that
gosh.
point, like D Rose hadn't even had that resurgence at this point. He was still just that crippled guy. Wade was pretty much on his way out at that point.
Yeah,
that was just questionable.
Rose's tenure with Cleveland was really weird because I know he just like left the team at one point, kind of like Kyrie did. And then he gets shipped off to Utah in the Rodney Hood, Jay Crowder trade. It's still weird they never got anything out of Jay Crowder in Cleveland. He seems like a perfect guy to fit alongside LeBron. I think that's why they don't get along so much nowadays when you see them square off. But yeah, Rose was bought out in Utah. It ends up signing in Minnesota with Thibodeau. Yeah, some of those LeBron teams are weird. And even you think back, like they picked up Shaq, like at the
Yeah.
very tail end, his first time around in Cleveland, and they had Ben Wallace running power forward alongside Zydrunas Ilgauskas at one point. Some
Do you think
really,
he was in the consulting for that early of his career?
I have to imagine he was. I mean, I could see it either way. I mean, I think the decisions, I think he was putting pressure on the front office at the very least, because some of those decisions were like extremely short sighted and like not planning for the future at all.
Yeah. I feel like that first stint with Cleveland, he at least had some right to do that because his teams were just awful and he was clearly the best, one of the best in the league if it wasn't him or Kobe at that point. But like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta put pressure on him at some point.
So the Mavericks have kind of run into the same issue. I feel like with the early Cleveland LeBron team did is like he was so good so quick that he overnight turned them into like not quite a playoff team, but close. Kind of like Luca has. So like you're not picking in the top of the lottery once you have this guy on your team. And
Yeah.
Cleveland's never going to be a free agent destination except for the the years that he was there. So I think it was just tough to build the roster around him, given what they had to work with when he got there. Although Ricky Davis was not really understanding why they would pick up LeBron because he played that same position and he was excited to see LeBron come off the bench behind Ricky Davis.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, that was a very hot take. Moving on, Kings owner Ronadive, maybe make some somewhat competent decisions this year with just in regards to anything like hiring a GM, making a trade, like something that resembles some confidence. And you know what? If you can't do it, maybe just get some people around you that can be like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Just some people with some good common sense, because it seems like he lacks some of that or a
Yeah.
lot of that. So maybe just, I don't know, have some people that you trust that like maybe they don't know the most about basketball, but maybe they're people that just make responsible decisions in their lives. That'd be a good start for him.
Yeah. I don't know how many fans are out there because there are a lot of teams in California, but it must be such a frustrating experience to root for Sacramento.
I can't imagine. I feel so bad for them. They have a loyal fan base too. I was watching the game tonight and there's a pretty decent crowd there. They weren't super into the game, it didn't seem like, but I mean, there were a lot of people there, and they haven't made the playoffs since 2006, I want to say.
Like for 4 or something like that.
Yeah, it was back when Rick Adelman coached them, so I do know that he was the last coach to lead them to the playoffs. But yeah, it's been a rough go. I'm not sure when Ronadive took over, but I do know since he's taken over, it's not been good. And it's just been bizarre decision after bizarre decision. I did a whole thing on the Kings, like drafting woes and like horrible decisions they've made in the draft. That's not even addressing anything they've done trade wise or free agency wise. It's just not great. Zion and Luca have the same one. It's going to be the same one for a lot of people, the same one as myself. Maybe go on a diet this year. I think that'd be good for both of them. Luca's looking real chunky this year. He's still putting up numbers, but I think that's going to limit what he can ultimately do as far as like playoff aspirations, like the cardio thing, and just he kind of in the shape that he's in, he can carry you offensively, but defensively, he just can't do anything because it's such a taxing role he has on offense. And then Zion, I think enough has been said on ESPN about him and his weight. Like, we just need to get him on the court at some point. And I think shedding a few pounds would certainly help that.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably shut down the rest of the season, I would imagine at this point. But I think I saw something. He's had the third fewest games played for a number 1 pick in the last like 40 years or something, alongside with like Greg Oden because of injury.
I'm pretty sure he has like one less game than Greg Oden at this stage, which is alarming.
Yeah,
which is really, really alarming.
I know, because we threw Greg Oden that bust card like so quick.
Yeah,
what we see of Zion never comes back.
And this doesn't necessarily bode well for Zion. But when Greg Oden was out there, he was awesome. I
Yeah,
remember him being awesome when he was on the court. It's just he never was, and that was no fault of his. Like
yeah,
one leg was bigger than the other, like to a significant degree, and there were some other issues, I'm pretty sure, but I think that was the big one. Um, Zion doesn't have that to my knowledge. It just seems to be kind of the weight thing. And at least when he came in the league, he was still like heavy, but it wasn't like he was out of shape. It still seemed like he needed to trim off a few pounds. Now that he's not been playing, it looks like he's pretty well ballooned up.
yeah. I saw a side by side actually pretty recently, and he looks pretty inflated since he started in the league.
Yeah, some of that could just be like him in a hoodie or him in warm-ups, but I still think he's probably put on at least a few pounds since like
Yeah,
he's not been playing. Like a foot issue. It's not like he can get on
that's
the
so hard to stay in shape when it's your foot too.
right. It's not like he can get on the treadmill
Yeah,
and go for a run. So
right.
I don't know what they want him to do, but like he needs to control that somehow. It's not looking well. It's not looking good to see him this year. Like it just doesn't look like
Yeah,
that's going to happen. Paul Allen, Blazers owner, do something this year. Just do something, like just anything. Just quit wasting what's left of Damian Lillard's prime. Like whether that be trade Damian Lillard, and he needs to kind of do that now if that's the direction that he wants to go, or trade Nurkic and the CJ core, because like we've seen that kind of played out. It's not going to work. Like they just need to make a move, something, because right now they're sitting near bottom of the West, and it's not looked good all year.
yeah. Lillard's probably, is he 30 by now?
Um, oh yeah, I think he's 31 or 32.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting to that end of his prime
Yeah,
best years, and like 3 years from now, he's definitely not going to be at the same level he's been, at
he's not
18.
been this year. I know you've not watched a ton of games this year, but he's not been that good this year. I'm still holding out hope that this isn't like the new version of him, but this could be like last year could have been the last good year we had with him. If he's has a nagging hip issue, if he can kind of get over that, maybe we've got I think 2 years of like really good Damian Lillard left at max, if we even get him back at any point.
Yeah, sure hope so. I can't see them trading him probably for anything.
No, I think they're going to hold on to him, and I think that's the right decision. Anytime you've got a guy like that
Yeah,
who wants to stick around with your team, I think you've just got to ride it out. But there's no reason to just continue holding on to CJ and especially Nurkic, because he's on the last year of his deal, and I don't think they're going to want to pay him what he's worth, because he's on like a $12 million a year contract right now, which is insane for a player that good. But um, yeah, I want to see them do something. I think they have to make a move, and right now they're kind of headless. Like they don't have a GM to my knowledge. First year coach Chauncey Billups, so like it kind of is on the owner to kind of take control of this like driverless car and like do something with it, like get back on the road. So right now they're kind of going through the forest, it seems like.
yeah,
Yeah. Last Laker one, I guess I forgot to mention this one. Russell Westbrook, I think he deserves a New Year's resolution. I think he needs to arrive to the arenas a little bit earlier and maybe ask around to figure out what uniforms they're wearing tonight. I've never seen a player just throw the ball to the wrong team more than Russell Westbrook. Or, if it's not an issue of him understanding what jersey they're in, maybe he needs to go to the eye doctor and maybe get some glasses or goggles or contacts, whatever. I'd like to see him in the goggles maybe. But yeah, either way, he's got to figure out which teammates are his, because I mean, it's not just carelessness. Like he literally throws the ball to the wrong team at least like 4 or 5 times a game.
yeah. The eyesight thing could be a factor. I know Jameis Winston a couple of years ago got LASIK or contacts, one of the two, and he was like, "I can finally see the DBs now. Like it's totally clear field for me."
That's astounding to me.
Probably the most alarming thing your quarterback could say.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
he still threw like 30 picks the next year, but he also had 30 touchdowns. So
No, I think that was that year.
yeah,
I think that was the year before he got the LASIK.
so that was the year before.
Yeah, yeah. So he was just chucking it downfield and like hoping Mike Evans bailed him out, I guess.
Yeah,
All right, last one I've got. Kevin Porter Jr., he was a recent addition to the list. Quit being a jerk, or at least like stop throwing things at people. Maybe he could like not throw anything at anyone this year. Maybe that's a good resolution. I think if we were optimistic, just treat people with respect.
Yeah. I know that was what got him traded out of Cleveland the
Yeah,
first time. And
he threw something at a coach in
and it
Cleveland.
seemed kind of like not justified, but I'm sure he was frustrated in Cleveland, as is everyone else. Um, but yeah, if he's getting that mad throwing stuff at his coaching staff and anyone on the team, I mean, who knows? They got him for cheap for that reason, but who knows if he'll even stick around after that.
Well, I mean, if Houston decides to move off of him, which I don't imagine they will, because you might have an extra one with Christian Wood. But he allegedly refused to go in the game back in the game in the second half. The coaches are saying that that was their decision, but I'm sure they're just saying that to kind of save face.
Yeah, I read that they said it was like a lagging thigh injury or something that he
Oh,
couldn't
I thought
bring
that
up.
was Kevin Porter Jr. that
Oh,
they said that
that was
about.
for Kevin. Yeah.
Okay. No, they said I think they said Wood sat out for violating team rules, like he had
Yeah,
showed up
he
late
broke
for
a
a
rule or
COVID
something.
test or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems like a complete mess there. But if they do decide to move off Kevin Porter Jr., like for a player like him, like he's very good, very talented, but he's not talented enough to kind of justify this behavior. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be tough for teams to sign up for this. And you've already got two that, like, if Houston moves off of him, like I can't imagine Cleveland ever picking him back up. And then if
No.
Houston decides to move on, the 32 teams out of 30 that are just absolutely not going to have anything to do with you anymore. And then if you just keep doing that, rubbing people the wrong way, eventually you're out of the league. I feel like Latrell Sprewell is probably a really good like comparison to draw. Even though I think Sprewell had a lot more upside than Porter Jr. does. That was a guy whose career never really matched his talent because of off the court issues such as choking out your coach or not
Yeah,
a
which
good
is a
look.
shame because they were both talented, and who knows what could have happened.
Yeah.
I would imagine he's done for the year after something like that.
Porter Jr.
Yeah, I feel like as a front office, you can't let that happen and keep letting him play.
I think you could have let it not let it slide, but brought him back had he not like left the arena at halftime. Like that's pretty bad. I can't I can't imagine them bringing him back this year. They may not at all. I mean,
the stuff with Antonio Brown, I mean, Arians said after the game he's not even on the team anymore. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. Yeah. So I think they're being a little bit more lenient with Kevin Porter Jr. And he's still young. Like he may mature and figure it out, but I don't know. What is he, 23, 22?
Yeah, he's young. This is probably his second or third year.
Well, I mean, at 23 or 22, I wasn't throwing stuff at people when I got upset.
So
that's only the young thing is only going to go so far with me. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there are other New Year's resolutions, but I think these were the ones I found at least the funniest. Or I know this video was a little tongue in cheek, but fun to.
The one I had for Christian Wood.
Oh yeah,
and you just saw that clip. It was a game against the Hornets last week, where he's grabbed a rebound, going to throw an outlet pass, and he just misses the guy by 10 feet over his head, and just nails this woman walking down the aisle, probably in the fifth row, just right in stride. I mean, it was a great throw if that's what you're going for, but I would suggest maybe like target practice, some subscription to a shooting range or something, just to get that accuracy back.
The hand-eye coordination, or maybe lessons with Houston doesn't really have a quarterback, so maybe not. Maybe hopefully the Texans get a quarterback, and then maybe he could give them some pointers. Yeah, that was like something out of like a comedy movie, like Semi-Pro or something, where like they're showing how bad the team is, and somebody throws a pass and it hits some guy holding popcorn.
I mean, it was
10 rows up. I mean, that was literally that was basically what happened.
I don't know if it slipped or what, but he launched that thing.
Yeah, that had some heat on it too. The lady seemed fine, so at least there's that. But
I think she like fractured something in her jaw. Did
she really? I didn't see that. Oh god.
Yeah, she like went to the hospital. I think she had a concussion and did something to her jaw.
From a basketball? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. He must have really put some heat on that. I'm not even sure if that had been on the mark, if he put that much heat on it enough to break somebody's jaw. I'm not sure that whoever he was throwing that to would have caught it anyway.
Yeah, it might have just bounced off his hands.
Jeez. Okay. Well, hopefully some of these teams get it figured out here in the new year, but most of them I'm not feeling too confident about.
Some of them we've been saying for a couple years now at this point, so probably not.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, the Rockets are years away. The Lakers, I have no idea what to make of them anymore. I mean, I can't imagine this is the roster we end the year with, but if it is, it's going to be a dumpster fire till the very end.
Well, the problem is half the guys on the team are 35 and up. Who's going to want them?
Yeah.
I don't even know how you could build that out at the
Well,
trade deadline.
they traded Rondo this week, and I
Yeah.
think they got Denzel Valentine, who I don't know if they ended up cutting, but at least that was Woj reported that was what was the plan. So I guess they cleared up a roster spot there. But I mean, who are you bringing in?
Yeah, I mean the two guys that they brought in for the hardship were, pretty old too, Isaiah and Darren Collison.
Yeah,
I don't know if
is
they're
that
gonna
all they've
try
had to
it.
bring in? That's crazy.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, the Heat are over here. Our entire bench is hardship guys. Like we
yeah,
we have 5 guys who we start from like the active roster, one of whom is a 2-way contract guy, and then the rest are hardship guys.
yeah. I saw they had like 7 or 8 actives the other night and had to postpone or cancel.
Yeah, yeah, it was not good, not good. Yeah, but we've been keeping the ship afloat.